This is our truly outrageous relationships in GEM panel. We're going to talk about the relationships in GEM.
Yes, I want to thank everybody for coming.
Thanks, everyone.
Welcome.
Thanks, everyone.
And if you guys have any points you want to point out, please feel free. This is just kind of like an open discussion. So, I figured we'll start off with something kind of creepy.
Yes.
Eric Raymond's obsession with Kimber.
Yes.
I never noticed that.
Really?
Oh, yeah, he's totally
Yeah.
like, Kimber, you know, I can make you a star.
Yeah.
And in the second movie, Kimber, you don't have to leave.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
really trying to manipulate her, and she, at least, no matter how young she is, she's like, oh, I don't know, she's confused about it, and she's like, no, I gotta go, that's my family.
Right, because she grew up with him, you know, when he
Yeah.
started with the...
She had a crush on him though when she was younger, right?
That was Jericho.
But
Oh, that
I
was
think she
it.
did too.
Yeah,
No, they had a crush on Rio, I think. Both
Jericho
Jericho
had a crush
crush.
on Raymond,
Yeah.
Kimber had a crush on Rio.
she's like, I was 17, what did I know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's...
What do we think with that? I don't know, Eric Raymond. He just wants to, obviously he just wants to manipulate her, and she's the youngest, so he might just be like, she's the easiest to get to.
Yeah,
a target.
And that made her question her friendship with Stormer, because she thought that was just another ruse to get the company when
Right.
they became a duo. But it
Right.
wasn't, because Stormer turned out to be really with a heart of gold anyway.
That's another one I wanted to talk about was
I
Kimber and
love
Stormer.
those, I know.
Yeah.
Part of me secretly wanted Stormer to join the holograms, but then if you just had like 2 misfits, it really like, and then you
Yeah,
had
you
like
just
what,
had-
like 6 holograms and 2 misfits, it really,
But it's okay because Rayo is like, Rayo is always in the background anyway, so you could just have like a million holograms, and then it would just be focused on like Jem and
Yeah.
Jem and Kimber and Aja.
The Stormer joins the
And
holograms,
Sheena, even though, yes.
and the Misfits take on Clash.
There you go.
No, but we know that Clash can't sing because Clash impersonated Gem, and then when they pulled the
She
plug,
could just
she
play
Yeah,
the
she
song.
made, that was fun.
Add that little touch in
could
the
just
song.
do that.
That was one of the funniest moments when Clash makes a fool out of herself trying to sing.
Yeah.
Clash is a funny girl. She's like, well, obviously she's deeply insecure.
But the thing is, you're laughing at her when she does that, not with
Of
her.
course.
Everybody but Stormer. Stormer actually came up, and put her hand on her shoulder
Oh.
with the videos when she aired those videos,
Yeah.
making the Misfits look bad.
Yeah.
Stormer's awesome.
Everyone loves Stormer. She's like I think she's the favorite misfit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
She's the one that's kind of good. That's the thing.
Yes. And like so in the Misfits, we have Stormer, who's the good one, and in the Stingers, we have Minx, who's the good one. Who's the bad one in the holograms?
The bad Kimber maybe, because she can, Kimber's rebellion and all that. I would say she's the closest to
She's
that.
impulsive,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
Asha has a hot temper.
And she was good
Yeah, I was
at,
gonna say,
But
I mean-
Asha's not bad. Kimber's very mischievous.
there's even that episode where Kimber has Synergy turn her into a bad person, gives her that bad person
That's
image.
true. That was depicted last night. That was
Yeah.
great.
Yes, that was.
Yeah, it was
That was the best
awesome.
thing ever.
and it seems like Kimber gets most of the bad publicity for the group.
It's true, absolutely, because she's so because she is so young. She gets such a bad rep, Kimber, poor Kimber. I mean, I'm kind of annoyed by Kimber because she seems so bratty, but I feel like definitely that's
Then
how
you also
she's-
have to wonder, like, how old is she on the show? Like, my sister's 20 and she's kind of a brat, and I'm like, that's how old Kimber is.
Do you
Like,
think Minx is good,
She's the good stinger, I think.
or she's
Yeah.
the least ruthless of the three, I guess? Or-
Well, in Change of Heart.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody, like in the Stingers, they all had redeeming episodes with like Riot's hope. You can see his compassionate side, and you can see how he loves his mother. And then with Minx, she has her whole change of heart, where she wants to be good. But then with Rapture, there's just like
Nothing.
nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
And
yeah,
same with
Chris
Eric
is
Chris
like-
Raymond.
she's just a
like,
con artist.
Every single episode in the entire series, I think there's at least one redeeming quality for each character in
Yeah,
the Misfits, except for Rapture. Like there is never one. Well, I mean, yeah, they only had 9 episodes, but there's not one point where Rapture. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just
She's
that-
forced to have to admit that she was playing everybody with the Houdini going through her.
Yeah,
That was the only time
Yeah.
she was forced to tell
but then I
her.
think well, what is
Well,
she
like
gonna do?
Pizzazz, you find out she is the way she is because her dad's
Right.
kind of neglecting her and all
Right.
that stuff. And then Roxy, with like Roxy Rumbles, you kind of like feel for her and her like humble roots and that kind of stuff, and Stormer, you know, with her brother. And
Right, exactly. And so
Rocky doesn't
everyone-
seem to have any redeeming qualities, though.
She never got a backstory either.
Oh,
Everybody
she's
else.
an alien. That's the whole thing.
Who is?
Rapture.
One of the pod
totally
people?
alien. Here's the thing. Here's what's happening with Rapture, guys. This is the theory. Because, like, obviously, it was said how they met. Minx and Ryan met either through high school or in Nirvana. So 2 times there's an explanation for how they met, and 2 times Rapture is excluded.
Yeah.
It's just she shows up and then like, and even when Riot talks to Jem in the car and he's like, oh, Minx and I went to high school. So again, no mention of Rapture. And that's how she's like, she shows up. So I pretty much think that Rapture is an alien because she just shows up and she like hypnotizes them with her mystical powers. This is kind of a joke, guys. Don't
That's
take it seriously.
Riot.
But like, no, but she is like all of crystals and like she's just so, she likes all of the supernatural stuff. So obviously if she was an alien, that would make so much sense.
Well, not that she believes in supernatural, she takes advantage of other people's beliefs in the supernatural. She
Yes.
haunts people. Those
With her
crystals are
alien
fake.
powers.
But those crystals are all fake, but she makes people think they're real, and that's how she rips people off.
With her alien powers.
you know what I couldn't believe is like with all of like the Starlight Girls, how like none of them ever thought like, gee, this is kind of weird, like, you know, Jem, Jerica, like with what Christy was saying yesterday, how she was able to renew another 65 episodes, she might be able to explore the story arc of like Jem revealing to Rio that she's really Jerica. Like I thought like it'd be cool to explore that with the Starlight Girls, because you know they kind of have the relationship with Jem and Jerica and all the holograms. You know, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, when Jem first got the earrings, she should have told Rio about it right away, and he should have been with them when they went to the
I know
drive-in
the very
center.
first episode, but then like
But
the
then
whole
it would be,
series
you know,
would have been
No series.
be like,
different.
dun, dun, dun.
Well, there wouldn't be that thing about Rio not knowing about her dual identity. That ongoing thing or whatever.
The drama.
That
Back to the Starlight Girls real quick. Did anybody notice how their ages would change? They would be like older, then all of a sudden they're young and doing really silly things.
Yeah.
Like when Ashley's in school, she looks like maybe she's 15, because she's 13 when she starts out, and then she's running through the house with a water pistol.
Oh, I
And
know.
then
it's
Right.
like-
There was no
Yeah.
continuity with Starlight.
And did anyone know
Because
that?
Bonnie went from 8 to 9. I'm like, when did that happen? Like she was
No.
like, 2 years.
Oh my god.
And like Deidre reminded me of like Joe from Facts of Life. She was like the punk
Yes.
of the group, you know?
And like, did you notice how Jericho's always exploiting the Starlight Girls, making them do all the work all the time?
Yeah, it was like slave labor, and like Bonnie was like the
buy
token
those
Asian girl.
albums here. You can be like, welcome to this blah blah blah, and you can like greet the people at our party, and like all the time, we were just utilized. Here, do
Kind of
this.
reminded me of like Flowers in the Attic a little bit.
Oh my God.
You know, like we'll allow you to usher people in, like go back to the attic.
And actually,
Starlight
the
Girls.
episode is more about the Starlight Girl. This is actually from their point of view, looking at, oh wow, what it's like to be this glam, you know, flashy rock
Right.
star.
I love how you're recording. It's good.
So let's talk about everyone's favorite couple.
Jem and Riot, just kidding.
Well, we'll lead into that for sure, but Jerica and Rio with their relationship.
I think theirs is perhaps the best, just the problem of Jerica's dual identity that Rio doesn't know about.
Well, I think that obviously there's some deep-seated jealousy issues because of her flirtatiousness with Eric Raymond that one time. I don't think Rio ever got over it, and I think he just like, it just was a seed that was like planted, and then in his head, it just, that's where his whole anger and jealousy, deceitful, like his hatred towards that probably comes from that particular instance.
Hates lies, hates deception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really, when she did that, when she had Synergy to do that test, that pretty much set it up for the rest of the series, why she would never tell him.
Oh,
She
yeah.
knew how volatile his temper was. And it's a little bit of immaturity on his part, because, you know, Synergy was saying, well, you know, my prediction could be wrong, but based on what we know of Rio, it's like, as soon as the moment she would have said it, this is how he would have reacted. So
Exactly.
it wasn't that far off.
Well, and it's hard. I think everyone in a way was kind of jealous of Jem, and you know, which was funny because Jem wasn't even real. Even Jerica was jealous
Oh, yeah,
of Jem.
of
That one
course.
episode, she's like, I'm tired of hearing about Jem.
The-
You know, Rio was insecure about it. Jerica was, and all the holograms, even Kimber, she got kind of rebellious and felt like she was just a hologram, you know, and that's really common in the music industry. And you've got, you know, tension with fans and stuff like that. And you saw that even with the Misfits, you know, Pizzazz was always wanting to take over. The one group you never really saw that with was the Stingers. But I think that was also because there was only 9 episodes.
And also because they are awesome.
That,
I don't think
And
they
then-
ever cross Riot.
That episode, Midsummer
No.
Madness or whatever, where Jericho gets jealous of Jim. That Midsummer Night Madness, I think.
Uh-huh.
That's the episode you were talking about?
I don't remember the title, I just remember the
But
plot.
where, that's when where Synergy pretends to be some kind of oracle or something. And, yeah, that's, she forgets that she's actually, that she's one and the same. Jericho herself has a dual identity crisis in that episode.
Yeah, that's why Synergy made Phaedra.
Yeah, that's what I meant by that word.
I think the moral of that episode is that we all have a little gem inside each and every one of us.
What, like somebody we want to be, or?
I think in the long run, if you have two personalities, you tend to concentrate some activities to one and some other to
Yeah,
others.
of course.
And
So
So
like-
you become two distinct individuals instead.
Exactly.
And Jericho seems to be the workaholic, no fun. And Jen is all fun and no work. So I think Synergy tried to give her an advice. She didn't want to listen.
Right.
She said maybe a stranger could be more heard. So
Yes.
she did have one personality.
I feel like she definitely had like a multiple personality disorder in some cases, like she's deeply disturbed, I think, and I don't know if that was before this whole instance with the hologram, or if it was just brought out because of that. Like if she was not Jem Jericho, would she still be this crazy? Like she was not given those earrings, but it like manifests in different ways, I wonder.
Keep switching back and forth.
Instant pain kind of also
yeah.
problems that we didn't know that she had until the Out of the Past episode. And that just kind of, oh, now you understand why she's this way.
Right.
I kind of always wondered if like Gem had happened like 30 years later with like all the technology, if anyone had done like a background check and like.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That would, she would be busted for sure.
Big
Definitely.
What?
Yeah, background
But
check?
then, I don't know, yes,
Have we discussed the stingers at all yet?
yeah, well,
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I was explaining how Rapture's an alien, so that they
Oh,
were
well,
all literally.
well, what I wanted to say about the stingers in terms of relationships is, and I know that some of the special guests touched on this yesterday, but the relationship between Mink and Rapture, I think, is a
Really
very
close.
unique one. Because even though I know that Christy Mark was talking about their cohesiveness with Riot, I completely disagree with that.
Really?
And unfortunately, Christy Mark isn't here for me to say that. But I feel like Riot kind of doesn't really look out for his group. He looks out for what's best for him.
Yeah.
You know, and I think
Yeah.
it comes up in multiple episodes where like Minx is drowning and like Riot's like, oh well. And like Rapture is the one who's like, ah! And then also when Rapture is drowning, you know, Riot's just like, oh well. And Minx is the one who's like, ah! You know, so I feel like the relationship between Minx and Rapture, it's almost like they're sisters.
Yeah,
You know, they have a much more, I
kindred
think, cohesive relationship
Yeah, for
than
sure.
the other sisters in the show like Jem and Kimber, where it's, or Jericho and Kimber, where there's a lot of, that relationship's fraught, I think, with a lot of jealousy, a lot of rivalry, especially on Kimber's side, whereas Jericho's a lot more, almost like a mother to
Yeah.
Kimber.
Yeah.
I just wanted to touch upon that.
cool, we would love the singers, so we'll talk more about the singers. Yes,
Sarah.
Erica.
Can we talk about the friendship between Aja and Rio?
Sure.
Sure, what would you like to say?
I know that they were friends in the 70s when they would like help each other. They liked to carve and fix and stuff and tools. Now, yeah, and then one day they even helped each other fix a lawnmower. So like, when I've been looking at this, looking at all the interactions between Aja and Rio, and I was like, maybe I should write a fan fiction about Aja and Rio in love.
Well, maybe. There's lots of fan fictions depicting so many characters because the relationships in Gem are like so diverse, and you could totally just interchange them. Because there's like so many nuances where it's like, oh, in this episode, this thing happened, and we see how it draws them together. So you could just expand on that.
So, if you don't know what a crack pairing is, it's kind of like where you take a boy and a girl, a random characters from a show, and then you make them fall in love with Aja and Rio. Well, there is a picture on Flickr of like Stella's Dallas. There's like a few of them where Aja and Mira are holding hands and kissing, and this is my favorite pictures.
Ooh. Scandal.
Scandal, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Jack. Jericho jump off a cliff, I don't know why.
While we're on the topic of Aja, I don't know if anyone's seen the Gem reunion that's on YouTube.
Oh my
But
God.
I thought that the Aja-Roxy pairing, and I'm not sure if everyone noticed the name tags with Aja and Roxy together.
Yeah.
I thought that was very, like, I know in the 80s maybe it wasn't as cool or progressive or like, for kids show characters in unconventional relationships. But I feel like if the show were to make a comeback today, I could see that being a real possibility.
Like romantic?
Yeah, totally.
Really?
Yeah.
Aja and Roxy?
Have you seen
I
the
think
Gem
Have you
reunion
seen
thing?
the
You
Gem
have to
reunion?
see it.
I always got the impression the two of them hated each other.
Because they're so butch, both of like it's like you know what I mean? Like I don't know. And like Roxy could be like a scary.
Kick your butt.
Yeah,
She's
right?
the first one that wants to punch somebody
Right?
out.
Who is?
Roxy, when she like took the sign and was gonna hit the concert promoter.
Yeah,
Zaz is like, no. She's like, what? I said no.
yeah,
That's the thing, the Miss would be in jail if that was, if in real life, they would be in jail.
absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
Like that episode, I think, where Zaz pushes Howard's hand in the pool when he's letting the.
Oh yeah, she could have thrown his back out and everything.
I mean, she would have been in jail and sued for that.
But like Eric said, it took all his pull to keep, Howard Sands from suing. So I don't know what he did. But more realistic stuff that you have to side skirt to keep the story
Exactly.
going.
And then doesn't Roxy come at them with a bulldozer?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
She's badass. She's badass. So okay, yes.
On a totally separate note, does anyone else totally feel like Hannah Montana ripped off John?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
There's no
Okay.
that.
And it
And
kind
he's totally cool with that. Like, someone was asking me that yesterday. They're like, how does the Gem community feel about this? I'm like, you know what?
And it kind of, in a way, like, it really irritates me because
Oh,
it's
no,
like,
okay.
why did Jem not make it and Hannah Montana exploded? And then it's like Jem kind of opened up the floodgates for that with the cross-promotional merchandising and the songs and that kind of thing and the fashion and the dual personality. But then on the flip side of it, it's like, okay, maybe that kind of will give some extra fuel to help bring Jem back now that they're seeing, okay, there is a market for that. And it's
Which
done
is
really
wow.
well. Yeah, so it's kind of like I have like a love-hate relationship with it. I'm hoping if it brings back Jem and it helps, and it's like, okay,
Then
it's a
people feel
necessary evil,
Gem's like, she's like copying Hannah Montana. That'll be irritating.
Yeah.
That'll be like so
But
irritating.
Jem did make it.
You're like, yeah, she's just Hannah Montana. What?
Jem paved the way for Hannah Montana, and now Hannah Montana might pave the way for more fuel for the Gem to come back.
Yeah, so it's a circle. The circle. Who would rather see Jem with Riot?
Show of hands. Who wants Jem to ride?
I want Jem with
Too much
Riot.
ego for one
They were
relationship.
together in that The Day the Music Died episode. They would be.
But I think they definitely have a lot in common. I mean, he's obviously not interested in Jerica, but as Jen, they both understand the world, the music world, and the pressures, and they definitely are creative spirits. So in that instance, I feel like that's a great pairing.
I feel like if they were to get together, it would be like Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. Like too much power and ego for one relationship,
But I think Jem's really humble. Like Jem is like,
I
essentially-
know, but it's also like she is like a global superstar. It's like no matter how sweet and down to earth she is, there is that glitz and glamour and Riot's a little, full of himself.
Riot's in love with the lesser parts of Jen.
yes. Oh, yes.
The glamour
superficial
He
parts.
doesn't care at all about her humility or her
Good nature.
inner beauty anymore.
That's true.
Superficial.
That would be like considered bad points, probably.
But I did read a fanfic one time that really put a monkey wrench into it, that if she had revealed to him that she was Jericho, his reaction was completely different in real. He would have been surprised, but not,
Not
kick
angry.
around.
Rio's a hothead.
Yeah.
But while we're on the subject of Riot, manipulations, did you want to talk about that?
There's manipulation with everyone. I mean,
Yeah.
Riot is definitely a manipulative character. And even in regards to his own group, I think, probably. Minx and Rapture following him pretty blindly, and as depicted, there's a lot of instances where that could be questioned. I mean, his interests might not necessarily be the best for his band. He definitely does things. Okay, so in the Gem Bible, it's depicted that Wyatt sees his band above all else. Like out of like everything, he would like his band to succeed, and it's over his love for Jem. He cares more about his band. So apparently that's how it's supposed to be, but I don't know if that necessarily was indicated in the show. But yeah, and oh yes, and Christy was also touching on that yesterday, how his hypnotic powers were to be used, but and in the Bible it says not extensively, like it's only supposed to be used a little bit, not to be overused. It's stated, yes.
As I recall, you're quite the Stingers expert. Do you know which of the Stingers episodes Christy Martin actually wrote?
Oh my God. I know that. And then she definitely wrote Change of Heart. And I know that she was saying in Change of Heart it didn't. From when I was in Amsterdam, she was saying Change of Heart didn't go exactly as she planned. But I recall her saying that that was her favorite episode. And I don't know if
So if you think if they if Riot uses superpowers more, the show would have jumped the shark, do you think?
I think it would have got really cheesy.
Yeah.
I think that it's good that they like scaled it back a bit, because then it would have just been unbelievable. And I guess it would have been just used at specific times. I don't know if even that was, I don't know if people even got that sense that it was his hypnotic powers. Like I think that the only time that that might be mentioned was in the second part of the Stingers in Town when Jericho's like, oh, there's a light inside of him that you can just turn on and off at will. So that was, I think, just a little bit of
Well, listen to the way he's introducing, well, when we were first introduced him in the first part, you know, he's got the audience just.
exactly in that
And
too.
saying, listen to my voice, you know, and everybody, and she has everyone sitting down just because he has some Kimber's like, well, sure, why wouldn't we? So we see the first.
Yeah, that's true, that's true.
Almost like Dracula has.
I would say,
Yes.
I would say it's like the Jedi and the Force.
Sorry, say that again?
It's like the Jedi and the
Yes,
Force.
Yeah.
exactly, the Jedi
Mind
Force.
trick.
Don't use concepts.
In a way though, like Pizzazz try to control the Misfits the same way, but she has a totally different
Oh,
leadership
totally.
style. She just kind of yells at them and bosses them around, whereas like Riot's like, come hither.
Exactly.
You
I don't
know?
think, obviously, Pizzazz is not respecting her band in any way. She's like, they're totally scared of her, I think, except Roxy. I think her and Roxy have the strongest relationship in the Misfits.
They
And,
almost kind of gang up against Stormer.
oh,
Yeah,
boy.
always, because Stormer is so sweet, they know she'll do whatever they say, no
Right.
problem. Like, pay her, Roxy, okay, pay her, Stormer. She's like, oh, what, okay.
And then Jeddah is like this outsider. Like, I don't know, Jeddah, I don't think she has any strong relationship with anyone in the Misfits.
Except for
She's a
the
little-
hate relationship with
Oh,
Roxy.
that, yeah. Like,
That was my favorite.
Yeah.
Do you think they should have taken a Clash instead of Jeddah?
no.
But you know, interestingly, Roxy and Stormer were the ones to quit when those both
Right.
instances.
That's true.
They just had it, that point, the both of them just had it up to here with his ass, you know, and so you can understand why they said, I'm out.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, wouldn't you? I mean, because Pizzazz is like
Right.
scary.
Yeah.
All of the
But
Misfits
actually,
have quit.
Roxy can stand up to Pizzazz, and she's perhaps physically tougher. In that episode where Roxy asked her to call the dogs after, it's like, oh, only my dad can, and Roxy takes Pizzazz, oh, your dad won't be back
Roxy's
soon.
the toughest misfit for sure. And like, Pizzazz is just a rich little girl.
Yeah. You find out her real name's Phyllis DeBorg.
I know, right?
Don't ever call me that.
Sometimes I just wonder if his ass even win in a fight, or she just all just.
Oh no, she wouldn't. Totally, she'd just run away, or she'd just be like, I don't know.
You mean in a fight with Roxy and Pizzazz?
I mean, physical fight. I don't think she could hold her up.
Yeah, Roxy would win.
Yeah,
Oh, Roxy
Roxy
would,
would
she
wall
would
her.
cut you. She would like,
She'd
yeah.
shank you.
She's from the streets, she's tough.
She's from the streets, exactly.
You know what I always thought would be really cool, that episode with the princess and the singer, if they magically like switched back, you know, and it was still like the princess was really Kimber and Kimber was the.
And it was just like, oh, P.S., by the way, that really was how it is, and they just actually was like,
Yeah.
oh, we actually never switched back.
That
Yes, we just fooled you.
You brought up that episode, and this is one of the weird things. There's two weird points that I find in Gem, and that's one of them. Is that they find out that the princess isn't Kimber, but they don't really do any kind of extensive search to find Kimber. They're like, oh, okay, well, let's find you, you know, your place again. And like, it's kind of like Kimber's left to her own devices to get out of that situation.
Yeah, and I know, Uncle, you have a lot of opinions on how Kimber is like, just how everyone gangs up on Kimber in the holograms, and that she's not given her rightful due.
And it's, I mean, I think it's true, because Kimber is the creative, I mean, you mentioned that Jam has all these creative energies, but I would disagree with you and say that Kimber does, because she's the one who writes all the songs, she's the one
Oh yeah, she does.
who does all of that, and she gets, like, told, like, laughed at. Like, when the band, or the episode where her and Stormer both leave their bands, I mean, you know, she wants to do one thing, and Jericho's like, no, we have to do it like this. You know, and it's like writing on demand. And there's so many instances though where like the Father's Day episode, sad, and Jericho's like, oh, Kimber's just being emotional again. And it's like, it's just not right.
They don't take her seriously, or
I think from the very beginning, the fact that Kimber didn't get earrings and Jericho did.
I know, well, she got nothing. What did she
She
get?
got like the pendant her mother wore.
And then like, you know, they find her father's diary and it's all about Jericho and Rio. And it's like, first of all, why is the father writing about Jericho and Rio? And why has Kimber only mentioned her father's diary, the fact that she made a new friend?
And why is he writing about, you always talk about this, why is he writing about how Jericho and Rio...
Things between Jericho and Rio are heating up. Like, if my father was writing about, like, my love...
Yeah.
And I can understand her anger in that Father's Day episode too, about why she didn't want to write this song, because she never really got a chance to grieve.
Exactly.
And they were just all just coming at her all at once, like, you gotta write this song, you got like a day to do this. And she's like, no, I'm not doing it.
Well, because I think Jericho was like 20 when her dad died, and Kimber was like 17.
19, I think Jericho was.
I mean, that's young.
Yeah. And they never take it seriously. I mean, they're like, whoa, Kimber, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's like, obviously she's going through
Well, they
something.
already lost their mom, too. And
Yeah.
then on top of that, I think Kimber was kind of a little bitter and resentful of the fact that the mom kept adopting all these kids. And then it was one more person to compete, you know, for attention. And then they had the Starlight Girls, and they kind of carried out the tradition. And because I think Shayna and Aja were adopted originally, they kind of grew up with them, right?
Yeah.
And that's like more competition in addition to Jericho, who's your actual sister.
And
You know.
speaking of Shayna, Shayna's so sweet. She's the only one who never gave Kimber any guff, other than Rhea.
Oh yeah, Rhea.
Rhea.
Let's talk about Rhea and her relationship in the holograms. Okay.
She's the only one with a family. With a real, there's not a foster.
Right.
She comes in with.
Okay, so apparently she's like the only one in the entire series who has a real strong relationship with her family. Because in the entire series, it's a running theme that all the families are somewhat dysfunctional. If you look at Riot's family, totally dysfunctional. And obviously, Jericho has no, like, her father and her mother are deceased, as well as Kimber. And, I mean, Pizzazz and her father, that's screwed up. And, like, Clash and her father, I mean, that's just weird. It's totally all the relationships with the parents. It's very strange. So, Rhea is the only one with a strong relationship.
But so, like, when Rhea does go and live with the Starlight,
I don't know.
But she said she wanted sisters.
Yeah, because she has all brothers.
Yeah, she has 3 brothers. She always wanted sisters.
So she just moves out? Like, I don't know.
See ya.
Bye.
Moving to a
I'm
mansion.
gonna move- Oh no, a mansion. Oh
Yes.
my gosh. What? And the Starlight Girls, why are they complaining? They live in a mansion, guys. Like, they should be so
They
happy.
live with rock stars. I mean, like.
Would they have a pool?
Yeah.
Like, and a cook.
This is the house that Howard Sands just basically gave them.
I know.
In a contest. But I think Christy Marks did mention in an episode or somewhere I saw online, it said that they did want to explore more with Rhea's family in the episode, or one of her brothers would have got involved in a gang. So that was something.
What?
Yeah, I heard that too.
Oh.
I don't know if it's a rumor.
Oh my god, that would have been so good. See, these are all the things that Christy Marks would be like, hey Christy, expand on this. These are your ideas. Do this. We already talked about
So
that.
we can ask her in the panel today.
Oh my god, yay.
So, go ahead. I'm sorry. Ladies first.
No, you go ahead.
So let's, while we're talking about the holograms, let's explore Kimber's relationship with Rio. My favorite thing was when she popped off back on him and says, yeah, the way you decided between Jem and Jericho, that was awesome after the way he trashed her in Glitter and Gold.
But I feel like she probably sees him like an older brother.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Even if she's like has a crush on him. But I feel like, I don't know. I feel, you know what I think? I don't know if even her father, if like Kimber's father was even there for them that much. Because he's always like probably working on like synergy.
And Starlight Music.
Yeah, like they had no guidance from them. Except, obviously, Jerica's mother and Kimber's mother, yeah.
Well, no, but it's true though. Like after the mother passed away, like the father got involved with his problem for Jerica, and Kimber and Jerica were left to run. Like as teenagers, they were running these orphanages and fending for themselves.
Does anyone think it's strange that Emmett didn't leave anything to Shayna or Aja, even like a minute little
so
thing?
Rude, right? Because
they should have been part of Starlight four ways.
It was promised them, you know, well, because Aja comes in right after it was a week after their mother the bandits had lost their mother, and she's scared about, you know, don't send me Shayna.
Yeah.
And he said, no, I'll never do that, and that's the last mention.
I know.
Well, I kind of wonder where the division is between the Starlight Girls and the holograms. It's sort of like Leela.
It's sort of like, pardon me?
Leela is this non-entity. She's like the oldest. She's the oldest Starlight Girl. She's not that much younger than Kimber, and yet we barely know her name. And it's probably heard her talk once about the honor jar, and that's the entire series. And it's like, what makes her a Starlight Girl and the others holograms? You know, where's that division?
Yeah, where is that? Why is it? I don't know. That's a good.
That's
very
a really good
point.
question.
How old do you have to be in the band? I think is the question.
I want to be a Starlight Girl.
I want to be a, no, I don't.
But then there's also like Laura Holloway, who shows up for one episode and then we never see her again.
Or even hear anything from her, how she's doing or anything.
She was probably really addicted and
That's
she died on the street.
Janis Joplin.
Speaking of that Laura Holloway, they can have hard drugs on the show, like Jam, a kid's show, but they can't have alcohol.
I know, right? What was up with that? An alcoholic father. I felt like the drug episode was revolutionary for a cartoon.
For a kid's show.
For a kid's show.
I mean, I could just imagine the Misfits getting drunk. They're the kind that people are with.
That's it, yeah.
Say that again, please.
I could just imagine.
Oh, no. At the back.
No, if you blink for a second, the Misfits are spiking a punch on the Father's Day episode, then real quick, you gotta like...
I didn't even see
Oh,
that.
we'll have to go back and watch that. That's
Amazing.
awesome.
Spiking the punch.
Yeah, apparently.
Drink martini and Hollywood Jam in the hot tub.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
But
Or a screwdriver, it's this orange thing.
But they go to the bar and they order like, what are they ordering? Like a hot fudge sundae? Like they're ordering a banana split?
banana split.
Like why? At the bar, that's what you're ordering?
When was
What?
it? Which episode?
I think it's the
Bands
bands break up.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, give me a hot fudge sundae, real.
The double.
Like, that's what you're ordering from a bar?
A
Like,
Friendly's bar, you would.
yeah.
And it was supposed to be a CD bar too, right?
Was it? Oh my god. I'm like, what are the steers really drinking in that carriage? Looks like alcohol to me.
Yeah.
They all look like champagne.
Champagne.
Well, I mean, especially the Misfits would get drunk a lot, I would think, knowing that.
I would imagine
You
so.
know what I felt bad
I'd like to see
about?
Pizzazz drunk would be hilarious.
I felt like Kimber never really had a love interest. Like, Jem Jerica had Rio, Riot, and then Shayna had Anthony, and then Aja sort of had her thing with Craig, you know, Stormer's brother, and then Kimber never really had, her Ginger never showed up.
Oh shit, Sean.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Jeff.
Yeah, she
And
all
Max.
these-
Oh yeah.
And Steve.
Ray never had a love interest.
Yes,
Oh, yes, she did when they went to the Aztec, Luis.
And then there was the, oh no, that's
No, Rapture never had a love interest.
Yeah, Rapture
No,
never
Rapture
had one.
didn't.
Sure, that's who. Okay.
I would have liked to seen a little more stuff
Or
on
what if the
Rapture.
Starlight Girls, you know, dated
I know.
and they had a help, you know, the first date or something, they're playing like some other
Yeah, that'd be
That
so
would've been
cute. Oh my god, that would have been cute.
And they never brought Danny back either from Haven House. You'd think he would have been there when they were doing the music video.
Girls, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been a great story arc. You're like, oh, he gets to go to the girls' place. But then Haven House wouldn't exist.
No. Or did anyone ever think about what would have happened if Craig Phillips would have become the drummer instead of Brea? Would have been
That would have been awesome. Because then maybe he would have had more lines.
Well, I think that like Craig Phillips' personality was a lot more developed.
Oh yeah, of course he had a real, like he had emotions and he was like soft but strong.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing with him and Stormer and Aja and Brit Rock, when they thought him and Stormer were married, And Kimber's like, Stormer, you should be ashamed. Why should Stormer be ashamed? She's not the one who was cheating if they were married.
Okay.
Good point.
But also in that episode, did you notice that when Stormer's hurt, Kimber is behind her with her arm on her shoulder, standing there?
Well, there's so many little nuances to, I mean, we obviously know, I mean, who here thinks that they were like together, Kimber and Stormer? Like there's so many different, it's touched upon. Like I feel like in the adult world, that's like an obvious thing, because wasn't there like a picture of them where it's like two Kimber love Stormer on her bedside table at the end of that? Like who has a picture of like their friend where it's like two, I don't know, that just seems a little bit.
But I think with both of them too, though, like they both felt like outcast in their group. Right? Like Kimber didn't really, like, you know, she always felt excluded from the holograms, and Stormer wasn't bad enough. You know, she was always being stepped on by Pizzazz and Roxy, and then like Jen.
They should have just switched groups.
Ooh, like a white swap?
Yeah. That would have been the best.
I
Another-
just felt like Kimber wanted to do at least one edgier song, you know, than some of the stuff that, and Stormer wanted to do at least a power ballad, not do anything too savage, at least something.
Yeah.
White Snake at least.
Oh my God, wait.
I remember reading like a fan fiction online where they were talking about like the gem and the hologram, like where are they now kind of thing. And I remember it mentioned that like Kimber became like a dance artist, and she had like an album called like Special K. and Stormer like wrote a book called I'm Okay. It was really, really good. And I felt like that touched on a lot of like the different relationships. I mean, yeah,
I can see.
How do you think it would have been if Stormer found out Jim's secret?
I think she would have kept it.
I think she would have kept it
She
too.
totally would have kept it.
But I think it would have added another dimension to the show.
Yeah.
Well, she kind of, doesn't she, wasn't,
Well, Eric Raymond might have been able to get it out of her.
I doubt it. Stormer's very loyal.
yeah, she should have just done the hologram.
Yeah, that would be awesome as well.
They should have had that, where each character, but then in the episode with, what is the episode when the music died? What is it? The
When the music died.
The music
Right
died.
before
They
the-
all like joined in with like the holograms. That was sort of like a white
That-
cloth
missed
sort of.
That episode jumped the shark.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
It's totally true.
But it was so much fun. Like it
was fun.
It's like a random episode.
And
Like the theme song didn't even get to get finished because it was like you
I know that was the best. I remember watching that for the first time, and I was like, "Is there actually no gem? What?" It's crazy.
She was and here's the thing though, Riot says that he pretended to be an auto mechanic and sabotaged Rio's car, I think. But if anything, I think Rio would have more mechanical knowledge than Riot. He's an advanced technician and all that.
I know. Wait, can you imagine? I just want to know. I just want
to
to.
get all that hair under a cap.
I know, right? I'm like, how is Riot going to pretend to be an auto mechanic? Let's just picture that for a moment. That's not happening. Like, when did you suddenly become this master of disguise?
That's more like Flash.
Yeah, totally.
But Flash supposedly doesn't have any auto mechanic knowledge or anything. If anybody, Rio would have that knowledge because he's a technician.
Yes, of course.
Sorry, you mentioned the date of music died, and I just have to mention.
Yes, please go on.
Because they're missing, if I remember correctly, Jem and Riot are gone for like 3 months. And everyone's frantically searching for Jem. But there's like absolutely no mention of like, where's Jerica during all of that time? And like, if her and Rio have this strong relationship, why is Rio out there searching everywhere for Jem?
For Jem, that's a good
and not
point.
even mentioning like, oh, Jerica's been gone for 3 months too. Like,
He doesn't care. Yes, Erica. Were you saying no? Sorry. Okay, just judging. Okay. And in the Stingers, I want to say, I was having this debate with my friend that I think that obviously Riot likes Minx better than, I think Riot and Minx's relationship is way stronger than Rapture's. Even though they are such a strong collective group, I was like trying to depict how specifically in the cartoon there are so many different areas where I'm like, definitely it's Riot and Minx that are the closest. And Rapture totally does feel left. I feel like she's so excluded, even though, because there's so many different points where she's not included in the group. Her like entire personality is just, I feel it doesn't mesh as well.
Well, I feel like Rapture has her own thing, right? Like,
Because
she
she's
has
an
her own
alien.
artist thing. And I think whereas Ryan's more concerned about himself, and like he doesn't really care that whatever Rapture's doing, as long as it doesn't affect him. And in Midsummer Night's Madness, when the entire like city or whatever were chasing Rapture, and Minx is helping Rapture, and Ryan's like, what are you doing?
I know, again, oh no, right? Well, in that actual episode, he actually does prove that he cares about his band. He's the one that saves the day with the money.
Throwing the money back, and not, whereas Minx was trying to help Rapture, like, you know, run
away. So
No,
there you
Minx
go.
didn't. It's like, don't get me involved. That was Minx.
I feel like they're all egocentric in their own way. Like Minx is into herself, like sexually, like her long hair. No, look at me. And Ryan's like the same thing with his long hair and his good looks. And then Rapture's got her own thing going on with
Money.
With the money.
Yeah.
And I remember there was one particular, okay, I'm in LA, I swear this happened, I know it's not my imagination. Christy Marks did say that out of any character that it was Rapture that would be a lesbian out of every character in the entire series of Gem. And I was like, oh, okay. Because someone was like, is Riot gay? And like she was like, no, Riot's not gay. So I was like, the definitive from Christy Marks.
Why would Riot be gay?
Exactly.
Because apparently it's a beard. Because apparently he's chasing after the one girl that he knows secretly that she doesn't even exist, so he can keep up appearances. So he'll never ever be with her because she doesn't actually exist. And that the whole episode with Riot's Hope was just, you know, his whole you can't be in music was secretly, you know, you can't be gay. It was like sort of.
Oh, that's true with the guitar. Only that's for sissies. Yeah.
Exactly.
I think the reason that resonates so much with like gay people or whatever is just because that argument that you can't be artistic, you can't have that sensitive side. It's so bizarre because Riot's so egotistical and so like, you know, the way he is, and then that episode is all of a sudden it's like, okay, so he had this whole sensitive side. It's kind of like what happened to him.
Yeah. So like obviously people relate with their families, you know, coming out and like not getting along with their dad. So I'm sure that resonated with a lot of people. Yes.
But I would think that would be what made him egotistical, because if he felt alienated from his family, he would have to do it on his own and have to rely on his own ego to get him where he needed to go.
But I feel like obviously his mother was there, but I guess it was just the father was obviously overbearing. And like how it seemed like there was an abusive relationship going on there. And which obviously it's like in the deep, it's a much deep-seated issue.
Well, for you, how do you think Riot felt when you helped Bonnie get her father? Yes, he was doing it for Jen, but I also think he was doing it for her because he didn't get to know his dad. He could have a good relationship, so I think
that's
secretly.
cute. Oh my god, I never realized. Oh, Daniel. I like it. Yeah, that's true. That's totally true. Because, yeah, it just gives so many layers to the characters, and that's what's so great about Gem. There's so many different layers, and they're like onions. You peel it back, and if the series could have definitely gone on so much longer because you could just touch on all these different things, and like everybody had like, pardon me, oh my god, I'm losing my voice. Everybody had like different scenarios where they each had moments you could expand upon.
And that was one of the redeeming qualities of Riot, because he goes to his dad and say, hey, my friend needs this, you know, information, and this Riot really does come through with helping him find his father.
Which I was like, oh god, can't they just, I personally just like Riot when he's not nice, personally. And I didn't like that they made him nice, but I guess they have to do that because
and if for some reason I know that him, Pizzazz handshake just always still feels off to me. That true, so
I know that, you know, like a second later.
Oh yeah, she's like, rah.
Because didn't they bring a present? I'm like, you know that was secretly
that was
a
all
bomb.
Stormer.
Trojan horse.
Like in 2 seconds later, it's like, bye Bonnie. Psh, that was blows up. Amazing.
But they didn't do
That's
that.
crossing her finger behind her back.
Right?
She wasn't though.
Oh, she totally was. Totally was. Yes? Was it? Encore, were you?
Was you?
Garth had.
Oh, Garth, sorry.
No, because he wanted me to mention in that episode about like when Riot flicked for Bonnie, it was kind of hilarious. That another thing that to Riot maybe being gay is like when he comes in and he asks him, I'm looking for a man that fits this description, and then like printing out a list of like, oh, computer dating in the 80s, like, oh, he's looking for Bonnie's father.
It's your next remix.
Yeah. He brings the lace on his arm, like, you know.
He did have a lot of lace.
just point out the obvious.
Amazing.
Well,
I'm gonna check the time.
sure.
What time is it, guys?
We got like 15 minutes left.
No. It's psychological.
Oh, okay. So we'll wrap it up. Anybody have anything they would like to add before we wrap up?
I can wrap up my own panel, guys. This is awesome. Yes.
Aja and Rio should fall in love.
Aja and Ria should fall in love. I have a feeling you're going to write a fan fiction about that.
Yes.
And maybe I'll enter the fan fiction contest, if there is one, for the next GemCon.
No, I think that's where she actually got it from. I know she's had this, it's been an obsession of hers for like the last couple of months, and she actually found online, it was a fan fiction where they did the picture, and they're like all starry-eyed looking off into each other, and it's like, that is kind of an interesting concept, you know, to take two people that you never think would end up together, you know, and it's like, I think maybe you should write it.
There's definitely that.
PG, though, you know, or it's PG.
Totally PG. Okay, guys, if there's any last, thank you guys for coming
Yes,
to our
thank
panel.
you guys very much.
It was a great panel. We loved it. There was excitement and it was
Adventure,
great.
and
From the
romance.
start to the finish.